Alrighty guys, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go over partial interval recording. It's kind of one of the easiest ones, honestly, when it comes down to one of the recording processes. For partial interval, if the behavior occurs at all throughout the interval, boom, it's an automatic check. So it's pretty straightforward. For this one, the behavior, you have to define the behavior very well because we need to be on the same page. So the behavior for this is going to be, she is going to pick up, and it's going to be the block she has to grab it and she has to lift it off of the surface. So that would be one instance, and it's going to be separated by her letting go of the block. So for example, that would be one instance. We're not counting the instances, so that's not necessarily super important, but it is important to recognize whether it happens or not. So what you do is we have our intervals. We're doing just quick 15-second intervals. I'll set the timer for us. You can kind of go off of our timer. And one of the most important things to know is that first beep, you don't record on that first beep. That's just the start of it. And then on the last beep, even though it does say the end of activity, you are recording on that. That is the end of the fifth interval. So we'll go ahead and jump right into it. We'll do our intervals. I'll start it, and if you can, go ahead and grab a piece of paper and try and track it with me. That way we can just kind of touch base. We can have some IOA data at the end of this and see if we're all on the same page. So we'll go ahead and start. And begin.
Again, ignore that one that's just marking the start.
Activity completed.
Alrighty, and that's right at the end. So I got 3 out of 5 on that one. And if you notice right there in that fourth interval, she kind of put her hands on and kind of rubbed them around. But again, our definition was for her to pick it up and to lift it off of the table. So I counted that one as a minus. So if you maybe counted that as a check, just next time, remember to really pay attention to what that definition is. And that'll help you on that one. Other than that, also know your percentages. Anything 3 out of 5, that's going to be 60%. And just be ready to kind of convert those into percentages as well. I know we've talked about that before, but just wanted to reiterate.
Yeah. And as far as the comp goes, I'm going to be asking you to do one of the measurement procedures that we went over in the videos. So the first one, we did the whole interval recording and we did the time sampling, and this one was the partial interval recording. I'm going to ask you to do one. You're not going to know which one. And again, it's just going to be those 5 15-second intervals. I'll let you know when it starts. Every beep, you're going to be like, okay, well, looking back, did it occur the whole time? Did it only occur part of the time? Or is it occurring on that beep, like with momentary time sampling? Sometimes it's really easy, like for partial, if I do it once, if it's in the first second of the interval, you know that I at least did it once, so you can mark that check. Just pay attention to those behavior definitions. This is also one that you're going to be doing with a client. So for partial, I might do like taking a bite of food. For whole, I might be doing the client sitting in their seat. And then for that time sampling, I might do like the kid coloring or working on what they're doing. We will record the data together in the intervals and then compare notes. If 4 out of the 5 that you have match mine, then you're good to go and you've passed that part of the comp. And what Dustin was saying about graphing, so after that, you're going to convert it into percentages. So for him, he had 3 checks. Let's say each check is worth 20%, so it was 60% of the interval. If he would have had 1 check, it would have been 20. If he would have had 4 checks, it would have been 80, and so on. And then you're gonna have to graph it. So you'll get a piece of paper. Let's pretend this is a graph. That piece of paper is gonna already have a data point on it with a fake date. So let's say the date is the 25th that they have, and their last data point was 40%. So what you're gonna do, I don't know if you can see that data point right there and that fake date. What you're gonna do is plot the next percentage based on what you collected. And this is just all hypothetical. So Dustin got 60, so he'd go over here, put a little dot for 60, and then he's gonna put his second date, which is also made up. So let's say I did the 27th. So I have my date, my new data point that I got from my recording, and then all you're gonna have to do is connect the line, and then you'll pass the graphing part of the comp. So really easy with that. Just quick how to graph. If you've ever had to graph anything before, it's really easy. Most people, they forget to put that fake hypothetical date and they forget to connect the line. So just make sure that you're doing that.
Pretty much if you can read a graph, you'll be good.
You're good to go. So yeah, that is partial interval recording. There's also whole interval recording and momentary time sampling. So make sure you check those out as well. And kind of the same thing with the thing when the beep goes off. The first time, that's just marking the start of the interval, ignore that. And then at the end, when it says activity completed, that is the last beep ending the last interval.